from myself and Ian Power, to come up in a minute. This time last year, I mentioned that we would be focusing on research data management over the coming year. And some of you may remember this slide, which was the sort of overall summary of a survey that we carried out in the faculty on data loss, what I term data loss. And basically we asked supervisors to say, did they have access, to tell us whether they had access to research results, research raw data, original notebooks, data files, and records of research that students and postdocs under their supervision had carried out. And 31% of supervisors responded that no, they didn't have access to this data. And it was the same for, it was even worse if the students had left. So for previous students and postdocs, 41% of supervisors said they didn't have access to the data. And then if we looked at, I asked if supervisors had ever experienced students who they'd supervised leaving the institute without leaving their research notebooks behind, and several, over a third of supervisors had had this experience, and slightly less with supervisors of postdocs. So this situation is obviously unacceptable, and it had lots of repercussions for the people who responded to the survey, and they said that loss of the data had prevented publication of their research findings, and of course it had also damaged relations with collaborators and sponsors. So over the last year we've been working to try, and there have been various things going on at a university level, but also within the faculty. What we decided to do was to get students, encourage students to think a little bit more about their data management during the course of we've been doing this over the last year. And from October this year, we're going to expect all postgraduate research students in our faculty to complete a data management plan. They will hear about this at the induction session, in the postgraduate induction, and they will receive, but at that stage we're not going to give them too much information about it, because we give them enough information and it's not really relevant, as they're just starting their PhDs. So they'll receive further details about this at the update session that we run 3 months later. So that's held in January for those students who attend the PIC, the postgraduate induction course, in October. We've already developed a data management plan pro forma, and that will be available on PebblePad, which can be updated as appropriate over, when we need to. And it's like a living document. And we'll expect them, we will be following up on the data management plans and expect this to be presented at the time of the confirmation review. Now before what we will be expecting is that all students will discuss their data management plans with their supervisors and agree on what is appropriate in terms of management and sharing of their data with their supervisors and maybe with other people in the group. And we've actually done this over the last year. We've had a sort of a pilot, and we've had run sessions with the students to explain what data management is all about, and in fact these have been very productive, and I think the students have really engaged with those sessions, and they've asked us some quite difficult questions. If Lucy's here, Lucy and I ran these sessions, and we were asked very difficult questions about how do I do this, how do I store that? And I didn't know the answers, but I know somebody who does, and so that's why I'm going to hand you over to Ian, who's going to tell you all about that. Okay.
Good morning. I'm mindful of time, so really I'm just going to give you some signposting to resources that you might find helpful when just discussing with your students about research data management and the data management plan in particular. The University Library provides a wealth of information about the whole life cycle of research data. And specifically in terms of data management plans, there's examples there of data management plan templates from all the main UK funders, and also some worked examples of those data management plan templates filled with some Sheffield-specific standard generic answers of the questions that might be asked. So I would encourage you to both look at this yourself and encourage your students to go and look at the University Library resources. I think they'll be very helpful when formulating a data management plan for the research project. More practically, I guess in response to some of those questions that were asked last year in terms of sharing data with your students, working with your students, access to your students' data, both during the project and when they leave, we actually have a wealth of infrastructure at the university that you can utilise. And actually, sometimes that can be to the detriment because it's, well, as Martina said, what do we use? How do we use it with our students? What's the best way of working with them? In terms of storage and collaboration, we're a Google institution. We have Google Drive. It fundamentally gives unlimited storage per account. It's great for a collaboration tool in terms of sharing data. It also provides backup tools. I'm very aware that lots of doctoral students are using their own computer laptops for working on their project. They don't always tend to think about how information they might have locally on that machine is backed up. So Google gives inbuilt tools that are freely available to them. Also, Team Drive. And I know the School of Clinical Dentistry has taken a departmental approach to doctoral student data and are looking at implementing a system of good working practice and expectations of both the supervisors and the students in using Google Drive to share their research data, both during the project and for curation and archival purposes after the project's finished. Of course, Google Drive, great collaborative tool, but it's not always appropriate to put some say clinical, some personal, sensitive type information on Google Drive, because it is a great collaborative tool. It's very easy to share sensitive, potentially sensitive information to the wrong people very easily. So the university now provides a research file store, up to 10 terabytes per primary investigator. This is shared and personal space, so you can allocate your students a space where they can put all of their data. You have access to that, but they can only just see that. You can have all your other students with other folders. You have access to a global view of your student information. And again, this is more suitable for that personal sensitive type of information. Further help and advice. In terms of research data management, as I say, the library have some fantastic resources and people. RDM at Sheffield, drop their queries to them. In terms of storage and safe computing, look at the KICS web pages. These have recently been revised and have a great amount of information on research storage, security and encryption. Some practical advice which is equally important to your students' data and the way that they're working with information. General advice and assistance, the email there, drop the faculty IT team a line and they'll be happy to advise, or indeed drop me a line, and I'm happy to have a conversation about specific projects and workflows regarding those. We're very aware that not any one project is the same. You all have different workflows working with data, different types of information, and so a conversation is free and often can give you a good solution. I'm done.
Thank you very much.